Home at last. Drenched through, but so glad to be home. I wonder if you've ever been caught in a storm. Have you ever been out and caught suddenly off guard in the rain and just wanted to get indoors, take refuge, take shelter, and go to your, I don't know, a safe place? Maybe you have a safe place. This is our prayer room. It's where I've actually done a lot of my sermons from. So it's become a bit of a makeshift office recently. But still, it's a place where you come. I have my blanket that holds lots of memories. And if it's a bit chilly, I can sit and wrap myself in this and take a good cup of coffee in a nice mug and sit with my Bible. It's a bit tattered. It's been all out in the world with me. And look to Jesus and to actually enjoy being with him. I wonder if you have a place, a time, a way of coming to read Jesus, to enjoy him. I want to read a few verses about Jesus being our refuge, or God being our refuge. And the first one is in Psalm 34. It says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him." Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. You know, I can have my comfortable blanket, I can have my nice coffee, and they give some sort of comfort. But actually, there's great comfort to be found in Jesus as well. Now, I don't necessarily always separate those things. Sometimes I come to God with my comfortable blanket and with my mug of coffee and still feel free to talk to him, wanting him to speak to me so I can taste and see how good he is as well. He's our refuge, and God says in his word in the Bible, you're blessed. Blessed are those who take refuge in God, who know him as their refuge. Another verse, a great promise in Nahum chapter 1 verse 7. "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him." Let me read that again. "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him." God actually loves it when we come to him as our safe refuge, as our place where we can meet with him and learn to enjoy him and savour him. As we think on his word, think on his promises, that we're blessed to spend time with him. And actually, he takes joy in us when we come to him. He cares, he loves, he enjoys those who trust in him, who take refuge in God. I wonder if you're taking time at the moment to come into God's presence, to talk to him, to get to know him as your refuge. You know, when I was out in the rain, I'd been out to buy some vegetables from the co-op, and the rain, I could see it was coming, but by the time I came out the store, it started, and it was hail, heavy hailstones. It was actually hurting my nose. I was bending down to try and stop the hail hitting me, but there was nowhere to shelter until I got home. But if there'd been a shelter on the way, would I have stopped and sheltered? Most people would, I think. Though you could choose to carry on. You know, you could choose not to take the refuge that's there, just ignoring it and trying to, I don't know, shield yourself somehow continually. But God says, I'm your refuge, come to me. Let me be your refuge. Those who dwell in me are safe. Last verse I'll read to you. Right at the start of Psalm 91, we're told, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust." Let me read those words again. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High. We have a shelter, we have a refuge in God. Will you dwell in it, or will you carry on your own? Will you take time to enjoy the shelter God provides? If you take time to come and dwell in the shelter of the Most High, you'll rest in the shadow of the Almighty, like him wrapping you up in his arms, protecting you, comforting you. And I will say, David says, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Will you say that today? Will you say, God is my refuge in whom I trust? I hope you will, and I hope you'll find the blessings of making time in these days to come to know God, the shelter from the storm, the one who loves to love you and embrace you and wrap his arms around you. I pray that you'll taste and see that he's good, and that you'll start to enjoy him more in these days. To help us do that and to reflect a bit further, why don't you find somewhere, if you're not already somewhere comfortable, and listen to this next worship song by Lou Fellingham. We love Lou Fellingham and our worship. And this is called I Will Say, and it's based on some of the words from Psalm 91. I will say, the Lord is my refuge. I hope you'll do that, and I hope you'll listen to this song and enjoy it. Okay, bless you.